Clarity is a financial skill. Most people think financial problems start with money. Not enough income, not enough opportunities, not enough resources. And on the surface, that sounds true. Because when someone feels financially stuck, money feels like the obvious problem. But after watching how professionals handle money for years, I realized something surprising. A lot of people are not struggling financially because they lack money. They are struggling because they lack clarity. And that changes everything because clarity is not just a mindset skill, it's a financial skill. In fact, it might be one of the most important financial skills nobody talks about. Let me explain. I started noticing a pattern with working professionals trying to improve their finances. Not necessarily what they were doing, but how they were thinking. Most people were constantly busy financially, researching investments, watching finance videos, exploring side hustles, learning trading, thinking about businesses, considering real estate, looking into online income, always searching, always moving, but somehow still feeling financially uncertain. And that confused me at first because from the outside, they looked productive, responsible, ambitious. But underneath all that activity, there was one major problem: no clear direction. And without direction, financial progress becomes scattered. Think about it like this. Imagine trying to build a house while changing the blueprint every week. One week, you want a mansion. The next week, you want an apartment. Then a vacation home. Then a completely different design. Technically, you're still working. But nothing stable gets built. That's exactly how many people approach money. Constant financial movement, very little financial alignment. And clarity is what creates alignment. Now, here's where this becomes dangerous. Most people confuse information with clarity. They think if I learn more, I'll finally know what to do. So they keep consuming more videos, more podcasts, more strategies, more options. But information without direction creates overwhelm. And overwhelmed people rarely execute consistently. This is why some people know a lot about money but still struggle financially. Because financial success is not just about knowing more. It's about knowing what matters for your situation. That's clarity. Let me give you a practical example. Someone decides they want to improve their finances. Sounds good, yeah? But then they start exploring everything at once: trading, crypto, an online business, importing products, a YouTube channel, real estate, stocks, e-commerce. And every option looks promising. Every option feels like the opportunity. Now, their brain is overloaded because every evening starts with the same question: what should I focus on? And that question quietly destroys momentum because every time you stop to decide, you delay execution. You spend energy comparing, thinking, second guessing, and eventually you become financially busy without becoming financially effective. This is why clarity matters so much, because clarity removes unnecessary decisions, and fewer decisions create more consistency. Now, here's something most people don't realize. Financially successful people are often very repetitive, almost boring. Simple systems, simple habits, simple structures, because clarity simplifies behavior. Think about someone financially unstable. Their money decisions often look reactive. Random spending, random investments, random opportunities, random priorities. Everything changes emotionally. Now compare that to someone with financial clarity. They know what they are building, why they are building it, what they ignore, what they focus on. That changes how they spend, how they save, how they invest, how they use time, and most importantly, how they use energy. Because energy is a financial resource too, especially for working professionals. After a long work day, your mental energy is already reduced. So if your financial growth plan requires constant decisions, constant switching, constant emotional effort, you will eventually become inconsistent. Not because you're lazy, because the system creates too much friction. This is where clarity becomes powerful, because clarity reduces friction. Now, instead of saying, I'll figure out what to do tonight, you already know. Maybe your system is 45 minutes only, learning a high income skill, or managing a small side business, or studying financial education consistently, or reviewing long-term investments weekly. Simple, defined, repeatable. And repeatable systems are what create financial momentum. There's a reason this principle shows up everywhere, even in movies. Think about Iron Man for a second. Tony Stark looked spontaneous, but underneath the personality, everything worked through systems, protocols, structures, processes. That's what created stability. Financial growth works the same way. The people who eventually build freedom usually stop chasing random opportunities emotionally and start building systems intentionally. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of people avoid clarity because clarity feels restrictive. It feels like, what if I choose the wrong path? What if there's something better? So they keep every option open, but open options create scattered effort. And scattered effort prevents compounding, because compounding only happens when effort is applied consistently in one direction. This is why financial education matters first. Before trying to scale income aggressively, you need financial clarity. You need to understand what actually creates wealth, what drains wealth, what fits your lifestyle, what you can realistically sustain. Otherwise, you'll keep jumping between opportunities emotionally. And emotional financial behavior becomes expensive. Now, this is exactly why my approach focuses heavily on financial education before income building skills. Because making money without clarity creates instability. Someone learns how to make extra income, but they still overspend emotionally, switch direction constantly, chase trends, mismanage cash flow. So, despite earning more, they still feel financially stressed. That's why clarity is foundational. It stabilizes everything else. Now, here's where this gets practical. Clarity affects four major financial areas most people overlook. Income. Without clarity, people chase too many opportunities at once. With clarity, they focus deeply enough to build real momentum. Spending. Without clarity, money gets used emotionally. With clarity, spending aligns with long-term goals. Time. Without clarity, time disappears into random activity. With clarity, time gets allocated intentionally. And energy, without clarity, mental exhaustion increases. With clarity, decisions reduce. And reduced decisions create consistency. This is why clarity is not just mental, it's financial, because unclear thinking creates expensive behavior. Now, let's talk about something most people experience but rarely admit. A lot of professionals constantly feel financially pressured, even when they are earning decent income. And often, that anxiety is not caused by lack of money alone, it's caused by lack of direction. Because uncertainty creates stress. Not knowing what you're building, whether your plan is working, what to focus on, that creates mental noise. But clarity creates calm. Not because everything becomes perfect, but because decisions become simpler. And simple decisions, repeated consistently, create progress. Now, here's the shift most people need. Stop asking, what's the fastest way to make money? Start asking, what financial system can I actually sustain consistently? That question changes everything, because sustainable systems survive real life, busy schedules, low energy, unexpected expenses, stressful seasons, and systems that survive compound. That's how financial stability is really built. Quietly, gradually, structurally. Not through random motivation bursts, not through chasing money opportunity, but through clarity applied repeatedly over time. So if you've been feeling financially overwhelmed lately, this might be the missing piece. You probably don't need more information, more pressure, more opportunities. You may simply need more clarity, because clarity changes behavior, and behavior is what ultimately changes finances. In the end, the professionals who build financial freedom are really the ones doing the most. They're usually the ones thinking the clearest. They know what matters. They ignore what doesn't. They reduce unnecessary decisions, and they execute consistently in one direction, long enough for results to compound. That's why clarity is not optional. It's a financial skill.